Welcome everyone to the Executive Compass. This is where we get insights from B2B founders. We'll dive into their story, how they got started, their challenges and opportunities, and how they're shaping their business for the future. For those of you who are watching, I'm Amisha Srimankar, founder of Vectra Growth Partners, and we specialize in lead gen, content marketing, and transforming businesses and getting them up to speed with AI. Today's guest is Angie Dobranski, founder of Rad Strategic Partners. Hey, Angie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, Amisha. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to dive into your story and all the fantastic things that you're doing in your business and help how you're helping your clients. But where are you calling in from today?
Silver Spring, Maryland, so that's a DC suburb.
Okay, so weather being nice around this
Ish.
time of year?
No, it should be. March is a wild card, and today is a not is a wild. It's only in the 30s today, so
Yeah, only. Yeah, it's better than
it
the teens.
fair. Yeah. But it's if I have to fly down to my beach house in Florida this weekend, so I'll get a little bit of sun. It's been a hard winter in the DC area this year, so
Yeah, I hear you. I'm in suburban Philly, so I know
yeah,
it's
it's same. It's been a brutally hard winter.
exactly. Well, good for you, flying down to your beach house. Fantastic. You can get away from this crazy weather. But for the audience that's watching on the call, do you mind doing a brief introduction?
So I'm Angie Dobranski. I'm a business performance coach and strategic operating partner is I think my new title that I'm settling on. But really what I do is I take business owners from, chaos and overwhelm to clarity and structure and get them ready for the AI structural future that is already happening. So that's my big thing right now and who I am and what I do.
Awesome. And are you more of the business coach, or do you help them in all areas of business? And what is your superpower?
For a long time, I've described myself as your partner for success and, using AI to like analyze my work and, give me another analysis. Strategic operating partner is really, I'm a business coach, but I am a partner with my clients. I think about them all the time. I care about them. I'm available to them. I'm not just like a coach. I don't sell you 9 sessions and walk away. That's not
Yeah,
who I am as a coach. I work with my clients over long periods of time and we make radical change in their businesses and their lives, really.
I love it. And how many clients do you coach and kind of really get into the weeds of their business and help them
So in
transform?
my one-to-one coaching, I work with about 20-ish clients at a time. Never more than 25 is the max I've ever had at one ongoing time continually, because that's a lot to tell you the truth. But it depends. It's as they get more mature. Like I usually start working with clients every week, and then they sort of go to every other week. And once they're really kind of rocked along, but we're really deep in relationship, then they go to once a month. So it does shift over time from the amount of people, but I can work with a couple dozen people simultaneously
Yeah,
in my
amazing.
business.
I think that's another superpower you have, like 20 people one on one. That is not a joke. And they all have different businesses, I'm assuming. It's like,
Yes, different industries, different businesses, different struggles, different places in their business, all that kind of stuff.
so I'm curious, at what point do they come to you? Is it when they're at a scaling phase, a startup phase, maturing, trying to exit? What is that? Is it common between all these businesses that one?
They've built a business that's successful, so they're making money, right? But I would say the thing they have in common, if they've come to realize, is the business is not running smoothly, and maybe the main problem in the business is them. So they've come to a realization. I find a lot of times it's a spouse or an employee or a partner in some other way that pointed out to them that maybe they needed to make change if they really wanted, to build the business they wanted to, and that maybe a coach could help them. And that's how they kind of, a lot of them find their way to me. But it's the point they've built a business. I used to say, like, the average small business owner is not really a business person. They're good at what they do and they turn it into a business. And then if they're really good at that, they turn it into a business they don't know how to run. So,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm like, good, you come to me, I'll teach you how to run it because you've
Yeah.
already found your genius. Let me just teach you that. Let me get the business running structurally for you. Let me show you how. Let me teach you how. Let me help you evolve into this business owner as well.
Excellent. And I want to get more into, the kind of problems that you specifically like to solve, more about your clients. But before we go there, I want to know a little bit about your origin story. How did you get started in the work that you do?
So, this wasn't my first career, as you might have guessed. I spent about 20 years in the fashion industry. I worked my way through college, and then I was a buyer for a major Woody's and Wanamakers. If you're an old-time Philadelphia person, you might know the name John Wanamakers. They've been gone a while, but
Yes. Yeah.
they were infamous. So I was a buyer for Woody's and Wanamakers, and then I worked on the wholesale side for Monet Jewelry and Liz Claiborne. And, I had a fabulous career in the fashion industry, and I enjoyed it very much. And like many people, I had that corporate crisis moment where like you have this life thing that happens and you realize that corporate values are maybe not aligned with what you need anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And so I actually left and I worked for a small entrepreneur for a year when I realized like, oh my gosh, these people have businesses and they don't know what they're doing. So, and I didn't really love working for a business so crazy like that. And I sort of accidentally discovered business coaching back around 2006 is probably when I found it. And then by late 2007, early 2008, I started my business.
Amazing. So it's been a 20-year journey, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey.
Okay. So from fashion to then working with small, business owners, any one industry that you gravitate most towards when you're working with these clients, or is it?
I'd love to say yes, but the answer is no. I mean, I have a lot of service-based businesses because I'm headquartered in the DC area, which is a very service-based economy, right? So I have a lot of service-based businesses. I've honestly never worked with anybody in the fashion industry, which is hilarious to me, right? Because I have like enormous amounts of really good experience there. Yeah, but my clients haven't really been those people because you know why? Because the fashion industry isn't headquartered. Again, I established my business. I mean, it's more virtual and more global now. But in the beginning, you establish it locally, and so you take who's here. So my clients have been, developers and property managers and attorneys and zookeepers and, everybody in between, which is for me really interesting and fun because it keeps me on my toes and I can see the similarities across all business, right? Which really allows me to, I think, get a faster result with business owners because I can say, look, every single business I've ever worked with has the same issue. So
Yeah.
let's work it through.
Yeah, amazing. Give me an example, and this could be one of your clients, or it just could be, a template that you typically use. When you step in to work with a client, what changes, or do you usually find, or the problems that you see maybe within the first 2 weeks or in the first 30 days, where do you kind of like go towards like, all right, this is the problem, this is the bottleneck that we need to solve?
Well, I told you I was really excited because I was testing a new process today, which I just tested with a client and it came out great. So the way that I'm going to start with clients is really I have this process now where I interview them for an hour about their hopes and dreams for their business and what it looks like. And then I've sort of turned all of my thinking into this massive AI prompt, right, that then takes that transcript and kicks out a plan that says this is what your business is and this is what you say you want, right? And then we'll review that plan together, right? And then use it to say, okay, so let's talk about what needs to change. So there's always, in small business, there's always structural problems. Nothing is documented the way it should be. So that's
Sure.
100% of small business owners have that problem. The only ones I found that have good documentation, and this made so much sense when I discovered it, if one of the business partners might have been a teacher,
Okay.
they probably have their processes written down and well documented. But other than that, I haven't seen it. Now, I have a neighbor who's some nurses that are going to start a business. I'm wondering if nurses will also document from the beginning. I think so.
Yeah. They're very methodical and logical, and just very conscious about everything that they put together. So one of my best friends, she's a school director, and even when she's not in her professional space, when it's the personal space, she's really like logical, takes everything step by step, dots her I's, crosses her T's, all the things. So yes, I can understand where that rhythm comes from, from the kind that you explained. Tell us a little bit about this framework. I mean, are you ready to talk about it? Is that something that
I am, because I've been working on it for, I want to say weeks, but it's really months. Like how do you, I mean, and if I'm real, it's years, right? Because actually I've been using AI to make me a better coach for like more than 2 years. Like I have been giving it transcripts of my coaching sessions and asking in the beginning, what did I do well as a coach? What could I have done better? So it's actually been observing my actual behavior, right? And so that's why I say years, right? And then when I said, I know what I'm trying to do with my clients, I just like, how do I systemize this and get it out of their heads and really came down with this process. It's like, no, every business needs what I call the founder's plan. That's your visionary plan for the next 5 or 10 years. And then every year we use that to create the annual plan, right? Which we can do in like 15 minutes now. It's not like weeks worth of work because I know the questions to ask you and I know how to turn it into something. And then we break that into quarters, right? So like each quarter we spit out a quarterly plan and then we meet and we work on it, and we go through the problems that come up that get in the way. We identify the obstacles, and I help them very strategically, both operationally in their business and both what I'm going to call business psychology, helping them become the person they need to be to run this business that they dream of. Because, the person who opened the plumbing company because he was a good plumber is not the same person that can run a $5 million plumbing company with 100 employees.
Yeah.
So I help them make that, I call it becoming, right? Becoming the business owner they need to be.
Absolutely. So I'm detecting that there's a lot of mindset work as well as the tactical work. Is that correct?
Yes. And that's why, like, I'm not a consultant, right? I don't just come in and go, here's your analysis, do this, right? And so this is the more coach part where it's like, let me get tie into remind you of what you really want, remind you of what you really are trying to achieve and help you become the person that needs to be. I mean, one of my clients, he said recently, like, you told me it would be like this when I got to this phase, right? Like you told me it would be like this when I got here, and I remember, 2 years ago having a conversation that says, well, when you get to this point, it'll all be different.
Yeah. So take me to, and that's very interesting that you said that what do you see for them that they can't yet from where they're standing?
That they're mostly geniuses, but all the genius is in their head, and that they think they have a people problem, but it's really a process problem. So they think they can't manage the employee. So the average small business owner is a genius. I kid you not. I mean, because my clients have already proven their business concept works. And they've got all this real expertise in their heads. And they want to hire employees who can just figure it out and replicate them, And this is the problem, right? Because, and honestly, one of my clients, up until now, they had a legitimate excuse. Getting all of that IP out of their heads and into a system was a daunting task for a large company, let alone a small company. But there are so many tools right now. I mean, I just interviewed a client for an hour and kicked out a 5-year plan that's brilliant and probably needs one revision to be perfect, right? There are tools right now that can help you get all of your genius out of your head and into systems, which is, then you can be whatever you want to be in business, right? Like,
yeah, no, totally.
It's interesting.
Exactly. And you mentioned how you're obviously using AI extensively for your operations and your clients. How are you coaching them on how to use it so they're not completely dependent on you and they can do a few things as well?
Well, one thing is I don't really give much basic business advice anymore at all. When they say, how should I do this? I'll go, why don't you ask your AI tool? Like I know who they're working with, and I'll, ask Claude, ask Chat, ask Perplexity. Why don't you ask this person, this tool for this basic business advice, and then we can talk about it. But I don't want to give you the original advice. I'm teaching them to, use it. And I'm teaching them to use it responsibly as a thinking partner, right? Not a CEO. Sometimes I go, well, let me see what the AI told me. And I'm like, the AI didn't tell you to do anything. The AI gave you an answer for you to consider and choose, right? Right. So there's, teaching them to really use it responsibly. And I mean, and because you're in this world of AI, that once people are illuminated, past what I call level 2, so level 2 is this is a cool tool, right? Once they're illuminated to this is a thinking partner, a strategic partner, someone who can get my genius out of my head, who can take cognitive overload out of my brain to actually allow my brain to function in ways it never did. I mean, most of my clients right now have been in business a long time, 20 years or more. And they are all like, I was thinking I was going to coast into retirement. And now I'm very excited to reinvent my business. And so we're all very excited to reinvent our businesses.
Yeah, it's a great time in a way with all the technology and all the tools that we have to be alive and actually being in business. It's so much easier, like you said earlier.
Yes.
It's not so, I remember back in the day when we had the internet boom and, creating a website would take like maybe months. Oops.
Right.
Did I lose you? Sorry.
No, I'm still here.
Okay, great. Yeah, it would take months because you think that you'd have to learn HTML and learn how to code. Now you don't even need to do any of that. Like a website pops out like in a minute while, you're making coffee or something. Like, oh, there's my new website. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Totally. Awesome. What are some of the use cases that whether it's for Rad Strategic Partners or maybe an example of one of your clients that have been successfully using maybe an AI tool or something that they have like integrated into their company or their operations that you can
I'll
speak
tell you
about?
a way that I have set up an AI tool for myself that I'm finding exceptionally helpful, and I have
Uh-huh.
yet to convince one of my clients to do it, but I will sooner or later, is I have set up it's called my executive operating system. And so it knows all of my goals and objectives, and it knows sort of my lifestyle and the things that are important to me, right? And the habits I want to do every day. And in my calendar, I put in all these recurring tasks, just all the regular crap that you need to do in your business, right? And every morning at 7:05 a.m., it reads my calendar and it sends me a message that says, here's your schedule for the day, here's your non-negotiables, here's your tasks that you're supposed to do, and here's a recommended flow for the day.
I love it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. Where did you set that up? Was it Claude?
It's in chat right now, but I'm really
Okay.
starting to fall much more in love with Claude currently. Actually, I find chat is better to start with and Claude to finish. So I can take an
Mhm.
idea and do a first draft in chat and then take it over to Claude and be like,
Yeah,
can you? And that's the best result. So
yeah,
I have chat doing it right now, but I'll probably have Claude start doing it and then I'll decide which I like better.
yeah. I love it. No, that's excellent. And Angie, tell me, when you're coaching your clients, does the coaching and the help that you give them, does that trickle down to the organizational level where it's kind of their employees get it too, or is it just with the founder owner?
My main client is the owner, but I like right now I'm working with an executive within one of my clients' companies. Somebody that they brought on board and has real talent and just due to circumstances and timing didn't, let's say, get onboarded the best way and got a little bit off track. And so I'm doing like a 90-day program with them just to like help them assimilate and,
Mhm.
develop the leadership skills they need to succeed in this company. It's going fantastic. So, I do sometimes work with the team and I'll do group workshops. I do these
Okay.
customized disc-based communication workshops. Do you know disc?
Yes.
Yes.
The
So
coaching.
I've always done these, but now with AI, they're hyper customized because I have the whole team take a disc profile. So I get everybody's in depth disc. Then I have a little format I put it through, and then I do like a 90-minute workshop. And I show them that all the problems in the company are the fact that they don't know how to talk to each other. And if they would learn how,
Yeah, I know.
it would solve it. So,
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. For an owner, who's listening, who feels like their business slows down the minute they step away, right? That's kind of the fear. Like, you want me to step away because there's going to be a system and a process in place that needs to take care of things. What are a couple of maybe practical steps to start getting themselves out of being the bottleneck and they can kind of like relax into that identity?
one thing is to actually step away and see what happens. So I have had more than one client who stepped away. Like and I'll use an example. So I have one client whose husband basically died in a long-term situation. So what they will tell you is they took an 8-month hiatus from their job, right? Because for 8 months they were focused on, the death of their husband and not the business, right? And when they came back, what they discovered was the business ran pretty okay without them, right? Like the clients were satisfied. They didn't lose any revenue. So more systemized than you might realize, right? But there was absolutely no growth at all. So, obviously the business development was the bottleneck. Now, I had another client a long time ago who had a cancer diagnosis. Again, was out of his business for like 9 months because, undergoing cancer treatment. And at the time, thought he had a fully systemized business that could run without him. And told me afterwards for years, drove around with a sticky note on his truck that said $800,000, which was the amount of loss that business had the year that he
Mm.
was not there. And that was, I started working with him because he says, can't run without me. I thought it could, and now it
Uh-huh.
can't. So you don't have to go through a death or a sickness, but take a week off and don't check your email, right? And see what happens. Take the shortest or the longest amount of time where your business wouldn't all fall apart,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and see what happens. And you'll figure out where the problems are pretty quickly, where you are
Yeah.
the real bottleneck. Because a lot of times it's not where owners think. Sometimes they know it, but a lot of times it's not where they think it is.
Yeah. Or I think it's kind of like revealing in itself that you may need to hire a team. And like you said, put in the processes and the systems, like, that should be taking care of most of the things. And the owner doesn't always have to be there, right?
Right. Right, because isn't it the goal? I mean, with most people didn't start a business for it to consume their lives, right? Like there's,
Oh, you might as well go work,
it's a
for,
lot easier to get a job, you
it
know?
is. I agree. Awesome. This has been fantastic. Angie, tell me, what are your plans for 2026? I mean, you just said that you have your framework now, it's kind of ready, your proprietary system. What else is in the works this year for you?
I am so busy this year. So I just found out on Friday, I don't know when I last talked to you, but I just found out on Friday that my permits have been approved for my house in Mexico. So we're going to start building there, which means I'll be living in two places for probably, the next year while we rotate
Oh, the
back and forth and
dream.
build that house, right? So my dream coming true. And I'm like, my brand new website should be out next week. I am really doing a big repositioning because I have extensively now for months been working with AI to observe my own coaching and create my own systems to turn my genius into something that's repeatable. And we'll see where it goes from there too, because I love coaching. I didn't actually start to like be a coach. I started to have a coaching firm when I started my business because remember I came out of corporate America, but I loved the coaching so much that I was like, I don't really want a coaching firm. I just want to coach.
Yeah.
And but I'm starting to realize I can actually systemize my genius. Like I actually think I could teach someone else how to coach like me.
Mhm.
I'm almost there. Like I have almost enough documentation to do that. So we'll see where that goes. But for now, I have a cool place in Mexico where clients can come and do some in-depth work too. So
I would love to sign up for that.
there
Come
you
see
go.
you.
I'll let you know.
Awesome. Angie, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your story and exactly how you work with clients. And I think I'm hoping that it can help a lot of the owner operators who are probably watching this and yeah, other people who are afraid to maybe step away. And this is kind of like a wake up call. Like, there is ways to get around that too. So thanks for this
Yeah.
conversation.
Thank you. It's fun.
I did stop it. Okay.